It's the Believe in Texans podcast presented by FanDuel. And I just noticed that Cecil Shorts, former Houston Texans receiver, is wearing a White Sox cap.
Oh, wait, Seth, am I not like a Texans fan anymore? Oh my gosh, am I anti-Houston?
How about that?
I must hate the Texans. I must hate Houston. I have a White Sox hat on.
We'll get to the most pressing controversy we've faced in this city at some point. And, I had travel issues yesterday, so we couldn't do our normal podcast. I apologize to everybody. But Cecil was gracious enough to bend his schedule around after I thought an important what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraging. I thought an encouraging performance by the Texans offense, in particular the offensive line, on that second series. The first series, CJ had they were doing everything they needed to do. They got to 3rd and 2, but then CJ just misfired to Nico Collins. What was your overall takeaway from that game?
Loved it. Loved what I saw from the ones. The defense is flying around like crazy. I mean, when you got your depth out there making plays and getting turnovers, it's incredible to see. Like the mindset on defense is fun to watch. But offensively, it looks good. It looks good. I thought the second drive, like you mentioned, was a solid drive down the field. I love the different personnel groupings. I love, and we'll get to it, but I love me some Cade Stover. I'm like starting to fall in love with Cade.
Well, that's where so, and I think that's in line with probably what we're going to say about the offensive line, and the term I've been using is in the run game. This is caveman football, they're not trying to do anything elegant. They're trying to just double team, create a wall of people, and I think in what it would be directly counter to last year, first and foremost, not have negative run plays. It might be 4 yards of rugby scrum, but you're moving the sticks and you're getting CJ into situations where it's 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3 instead of 3rd and 12 and 3rd and 13. And it's a lot easier to play quarterback when you're in that type of a situation.
When you're playing on schedule, it makes it easier for the play caller, the quarterback, everyone involved. And that's one thing I saw in the running game. Like Nick Chubb didn't stand out to me as a really explosive, but he hit the hole hard. The linemen were moving people. I thought they got to the second level better this week than the week before. And when you're getting positive yards over and over and over again, eventually you'll pop one, right? And maybe a different running back, but eventually you're going to pop one. Maybe 2 yards here, 3 yards here, 6 yards here. Those are all positive gains, and you're staying on schedule. It makes the play calling so much easier.
Yeah, and like with Cade Stover too. I'm glad you brought him up, and that was cool. I was up in the press box, and you texted me after one play where I hadn't seen what he had done, but you're like, Cade Stover, I love Cade Stover. He did a really good job. Not that I love seeing it as a former defensive lineman, but there was one split zone where he had a really nice cut block, and I still don't know. I don't know why that play is. They got rid of so many cut blocks, but that one remains legal. But everything that you had hoped for a guy that's only played tight end for a couple of years in college, and then his rookie year last year, he really looks like he's taken to coaching. He's taken to this new scheme. The route running is still something that we'll see over time. I think Dalton Schultz will still be your primary target as a receiver amongst the tight ends. But there's so many guys right now, and I'll include Blake Fisher in that. Blake Fisher had a rough start the first couple of weeks of camp, and in that game, and he had a rough first game too. There's something that just clicked in him. It looks like if I had dropped down into that preseason game and hadn't watched anything from the Texans, but they had told me that Blake Fisher is a second-round draft pick who is considered kind of a developmental guy, this tracks. This looks like what I'd expect to see out of a guy like that. He's not a finished product, but there's definitely something there.
There is something there. The improvement, and that's the biggest thing. I feel like in previous years, we didn't see the young guys really improve from year to year to year. It was kind of whatever their ceiling was, or they came in as, they kind of just stayed the same.
Yeah.
But to see the improvement from week 1 of training camp till now, that's a big deal. And it doesn't just go for him. It goes for Ursary. It goes for a lot of people in that offensive line room. There's a nastiness to that offensive line that we were missing, the Texans were missing the last few years.
Yeah, there's a nastiness to it. And it's honestly, it's even more, when I call it caveman football, you might say, okay, they're going to be more of a power-based scheme. They're running between the tackles a lot more. Bobby Sloak was all about the outside zone. But they're not. At least when I've been watching, they're not running even that many powers or counters or anything. It's just pushing up front and getting positive yardage. What you said about Nick Chubb, I agree. I don't know what his overall explosiveness is, but he's strong. So when the blocking is good in front of him and when he has a hole, he had one play where Blake Fisher didn't have a great block, but he was one-on-one and had to drive block somebody, and the defensive end kind of got an arm tackle, could have made an arm tackle, but Nick Chubb dragged him for 5 yards. Yeah. So like that's the part where there's still something there with Nick Chubb. They released J.J. Taylor, which wasn't a huge surprise, but right now it looks like if Joe Mixon isn't available week 1, and right now I'm leaning more towards, so there's a good chance he might not be available week 1, or at least I'm prepared for that. How do you feel about having Nick Chubb, Dameon Pierce, Woody Marks, and then Agumbawale, possibly with Jawar Jordan, but I'm guessing he'll be on the practice squad again this year?
I wouldn't say I love it right now. I do like the explosive run I seen from Woody Marks, I think, on Saturday. He looked good there. But I'm not sure that I love it. I think this offense, I want to see Dameon Pierce. That's the one I want to see. Because I think what we see from Chubb is what we'll get. He'll be strong. He'll be good in the short yardage situations. He'll be consistent. He'll always get positive yards. Even if it's 2 yards, 1 year, it'll be a positive gain. But where's that pop going to come from, right? So I'm thinking when you look at where Dameon came from in college, he was a downhill runner. That's all he did. Downhill, downhill, downhill. This offense, if they're just, and it's preseason, but they're just going man-on-man blocking and doubling and moving up, this might be a good fit for Dameon, who's a downhill type runner, who's going to hit the hole hard. So I'm interested to see what he can do, because he possibly can be the home run hitter. But in my back of my mind, I'm like, well, maybe you should go trade for, and I'm playing Madden or fantasy, maybe you should go trade for Brian Robertson Jr., right? Maybe you should go try to get another guy or somebody on somebody else's team to come in and be that pop for you. I'm just not sure. I'm not sold you have enough in that running back room right now.
Yeah, Woody Marks is the other guy too. I can't remember if I mentioned Woody Marks or not as one of the guys, but it did. So the biggest thing with Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan as well, and J.J. Taylor, all those guys had snaps where they were really good in pass protection. And for Woody Marks especially, I mean, I guess it should make sense because like he was playing in that USC offense and Mississippi State before that. He's had to pass block a lot playing in that air raid offense. But you don't usually see rookie running backs that care about pass blocking and then B, actually know what they're doing and tracking guys across the formation after the snap and picking up blitzers. That's I wasn't even really hoping for that because you typically just don't see it out of rookies.
No, that's rare. And I think, like you said, the experience he had at USC, the experience he had at Mississippi State, but that's rare for him to come to the line of scrimmage, be able to scan like A gap, B gap, C gap, or like, when I say A gap, B gap, C gap, that's just like next to the center, the guard area, the tackle area. So inside, outside, right, on both sides, and be able to go there and accomplish a block. I also was surprised how thick he is. The more I look at him, he's a thick dude. Like he can really lay it to somebody. So I'm loving that he's a willing blocker. I think a lot of times blocking is this: are you willing to block?
Right. That's where with tight ends, that's how you look at it. The young tight ends, you look at it. All right, is he willing to? They're never. George Kittle says it's the art of getting beat slowly. Just with like blocking as a tight end, when sometimes you have to block a defensive end, you're not going to win. But you got to be willing, and you got to be able to be a speed bump in there. And I think Woody Marks and his ability to just knock guys back when he's breaking tackles, despite being a smaller guy, it looks like he's got the appropriate chip on his shoulder. That whatever his size issues are, or however that might hold him back, that you can he knows that he's got to overcome that, and he's got the right attitude for it.
He does, and he catches the ball extremely well. I'm interested to see, especially if Joe was out, how they use him in the offense, because he could be that spark, but we got to just wait and see, and we'll see how they use him. Yeah,
and with Joe Mixon, I don't mean to try to be overly pessimistic about it to anybody who's listening. Aaron Wilson had a report that there's a chance he'll be on the PUP to start the season, and that would mean he's not available for 4 games. So if he starts on the PUP, then I start worrying about, well, if they know he's going to be out for at least 4 games, then that opens the door to like 5, 6, 7 games. So not being available week 1 is a big part of what I'd be concerned about. And then just finding out somewhere along the way that it's even worse than that. We just don't know. He didn't play in the preseason at all last year, but this year it's just been weird. He just hasn't been out there. So
it's an ankle?
Foot slash ankle. People have, see, now I'm running into trying to remember what people have speculated versus what actually could be. But I think it's just been vaguely listed as a foot, since you can't really, they don't have to report anything at this time of year. It's a lower body injury of some sort. FanDuel has the Texans as a 2.5 point underdog in the Rams game. And Matt Stafford's practicing now. So we'll see what comes of that, because people but Sean McVay hasn't really said anything super positive about him. I think that as I watch this defense play, and whether they go against Matt Stafford or not, and then the fact that the Rams typically got off to a slow start in the beginning of the season, they don't play hardly any of their starters during training camp, and they always look a little bit rusty at the beginning of the year. But then also the Texans running game showing this promise, and going against the Rams defense that really struggled defending the run last year. I feel really good about it. If they had Joe Mixon, I would feel awesome about the Texans being 2.5 point underdogs. I feel like I would take that all day long. Joe Mixon's a big dynamic, because CJ himself said, hey, this is going to be a run first offense and establish the run offense. So if that's your MO and that's what the way you want to operate, Joe Mixon obviously makes a big difference there.
Yeah, he's going to be, I think that's your -2. That's going to be the key. That's going to be the key. It's going to be interesting. I'll be honest. If I'm Sean McVay, I'm not sure I'm playing Stafford in week 1 if he's not fully 100%. I don't want Anderson and Hunter and those guys.
Right. Yeah, those guys.
For a back issue, right?
Yeah, and those guys, those guys go out and play in preseason games like it's the Super Bowl. I talked to Danielle Hunter after the game, just off. I didn't interview him or anything. I was just chatting with him a little bit. And man, in talking to him about the offense, because I said, man, the offense, like, they look physical. They looked way more physical than they did last year. And in talking to him, I almost got the sense that Danielle feels like the defense itself is in a competition with every other defense in the league to be the toughest defense the Texans offense faces. Like they want to, and CJ said that in his press conference that Ariante Ursary had said to him that, hey, this is like, it actually feels a little bit easier when we go out in the games, because after we go against Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter and all those other guys all day long.
I love that. And I think that's all positions, right? That's the same thing for Nico Collins and Stingley. The same thing for Jaden Higgins going against Kamari, right? Or the safeties or the linebackers. Like, you're so deep on that side of the ball. You're just helping each other out. You're just literally getting better and better each and every day. So for Ursary to be saying that, and then watching Ursary, if you watched, there was a clip on Twitter. I forgot who put it out. It might have been Stressens, but it could have been somebody else. There was a clips of his week 1 and week 2 snaps, all of his snaps.
Yeah.
And
I think it was Texans Jacob. Stressens might have done it too, but I think Texans Jacob also did. Yeah.
Was it Jacob? Make sure I give him his credit. But you can see just the difference in week 1 and week 2. That he's more comfortable. He's more confident. He's improving. He's leaving a little bit lower. He's engaging more. He's running his feet. It's just a lot of things that with time and with going against these guys that are so good, it's going to benefit the offense in a big way.
Yeah, that's Ariante Ursary actually was talked about by CJ during the press conference after the game. Here's CJ talking about Ariante Ursary. He calls him Tay.
Tay has one of the best minds since I've seen from a rookie, in my couple years in the league. He texted me the night he got drafted, and I texted him. I was like, hey, bro, excited to have you on the team. And he was like, I'm going to die on the O-line for you, bro. I'm going to die out there. I was like, all right, bro, appreciate that, man. I respect that, bro. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, I'm gonna die on that O-line for you. I like it. It's a little dramatic, but I like it.
That's the kind of stuff. CJ. I never met you, but I'm gonna die for you right now.
I want to see Ariante Ursary as a Secret Service agent. This is a massive human being draping and guarding the president. Yeah. As far as Ariante Ursary goes, I do think he's more advanced than I would have hoped right now. I was really excited about him when I saw him in OTAs, and then in training camp, you could really see that he knows how to use his length. And we've talked about this on the podcast before. But in watching him versus Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, there's times where I didn't know for sure. Watching at field level or out at practice, I feel like I think that was a good rep, but I also don't know if Danielle Hunter might have just been able to flip his hits and strip sack the quarterback. And you're not going to know in practice because Danielle's not going to try to get anywhere close to C.J. Stroud. He's not like Jeffrey Simmons who slapped Cam Ward the other day in practice. But
that was crazy.
You see it in the game, and at least going against non-Danielle Hunters or Will Anderson, he just rides guys right around the circle, around the back of the pocket. And CJ's a veteran quarterback. You don't have to worry about him like some Texans quarterbacks in the past. You'd have to worry about just dropping deeper and deeper, and then all of a sudden, like the offensive tackle might actually have a good rep going, but the quarterback gets sacked because his drop is too deep. CJ's gotten really good at knowing when to step up and still feel comfortable.
I think you might have found. The more I watch and the more confident I get, like you might have found your left tackle for the future. Like you might have found your guy. His mindset reminds me of the same mindset CJ and Will Anderson had coming in. Like they want to get better. They're asking questions. They're confident. They have a dog mindset. And to see him just improve in those 20 snaps, whatever it was that he had from week 1 to week 2 altogether, it's exciting to see. He's only going to get better, and he wants to get better. But you're right. And then I think CJ also is helping him out. Like if you're just able to use your length and run him around, great. CJ can step up, he buys himself more time and make the correct throw. But those things are only going to get better with more time. So it's exciting.
As far as CJ goes, I told you before when I was out in practice at times, it just didn't seem like he was the ball placement specialist that we know that he is. And I'm getting increasingly comfortable every week, and I've said this every week. Okay, I think at least part of that was being in a new offense, and then also going against a defense. There's a bunch of maniacs out there, and it's just hard to get completions, especially when not everything is kind of in tune and in sync. I thought this last game, everything except that misfire to Nico Collins, I felt really good about. That misfire to Nico Collins. CJ in the press conference owned up to it, said he owed one to Nico. And then he had said that there was something about getting out on the game field in a game situation where everything feels a little bit bigger. And I don't know if I've ever heard that from a quarterback before. It almost felt like a basketball thing. Like when you go and you play in the national championship game, or you go play at the NCAA tournament and it's in a football stadium or something, and the sight lines and the backboard just look a little bit different. Have you heard that? Have you heard quarterbacks talk about that before?
No, I haven't. So when he said that's the first time I've heard that phrase, I kind of get what he means, though, especially as his first game action of the year and being in that stadium. And it's different on the field where you're practicing all the time. You get used to the practice field and where he's going to be at. But now you got fans. Now you got the outlook is a little bit different. So I get where he's coming from. But I never heard that saying before. Now I'm not big on excuses. When he's wide open like that, you got to hit him. You got to hit him. 3rd and 2. I love the call, but you got to hit him.
It was the level of cope that was going on in the fan base, including myself after that throw. Was at first I was like, well, maybe there's a miscommunication, and clearly Nico was supposed to be down on the sideline. But then I was up in the press box, so I could see pretty well that even if Nico had been along the sideline, it wasn't going to be any run after the catch on that. He would have had to catch it at the high point and toe tap it. But that also, the encouraging part of that play was, some people said, hey, it's 3rd and 2, first quarter, you should just go ahead and take the easy shot there. I disagree in that all the quick game that they've been working is to set up plays like that. You got Nico one-on-one with somebody. He's got him beat. That's a potential touchdown right there. And if you don't get it, for what should be a relatively easy throw for CJ Stroud, I would say go for that. And if you don't get it, fine, punt. But that's an opportunity you just don't get all that often.
And you have a top 5 receiver in the league. Like when you have one-on-one out there, it's one-on-one. It's 3rd and 2. I think going off script or getting off what you usually may do is a great play call. So I have no problem with the call at all. I want to see it more often. Just complete the play. And sometimes you will. I think most times you will. And sometimes you won't. But I am perfectly fine with that play call. And I think it shows like, okay, it shows Nick, hey, I trust CJ and I trust Nico to make that call, to make that communication, and to finish the play.
The other thing that I think CJ's doing a better job of is just embracing the check down, not looking at it as something you do as a last resort. And there was one play in the game where, CJ checked down to Nick Chubb, and it was just for a minimal gain. But it was that he had seen the coverage kind of rotate and was different than he thought he was. So he didn't he didn't try to overthink it or wait for something to develop and see what became of it. He just said, nope, I'm dumping it to the running back. And it's an easy extra 5 yards or so on average any given time.
Remember in camp, maybe 2 weeks ago, you were in Greenbrier, excuse me.
Yeah.
Greenbrier. And you're like, you feel like he's kind of maybe, forcing the ball here and going through, he's just forcing the ball, him being CJ, and then he gets in the game. And if it's not there, he's not forcing it. I'll take my check down. Because a check down gets you 5 yards. A check now is 2nd and 5. Now it's 3rd and short. Now you're in manageable positions. To me, when you look at the Drew Brees, all the vets that played the game, they didn't force a lot of passes. They took what the defense gave them. So if you're able to do that and be comfortable with it, and then you got playmakers that can do it, that's a big win for you.
It's always interesting because I think sometimes people mistake it as an IQ thing or something, like a football IQ thing, and it's really just about maturity. It's almost the same as like a young man realizing, wait a second, okay, I got to quit it with all these get rich quick schemes, and I just got to go to work every day, and I got to put in the time, and over time, then the opportunities come, but you don't try to you don't just try a new get rich quick scheme all the time, and when you're constantly waiting for the big play to develop, you're giving up those little easy opportunities to advance, and pissing off your boss in the meantime. So that part of it, I feel good about that. The other one question I had for you is the one that he threw Jaden Higgins out, and Higgins had to dive for it. And I didn't know from your perspective whether that looked like, should Higgins have been working back more towards the ball, or was it just CJ maybe not realizing that's not Tank Dell? Because Tank, if it's Tank Dell,
their timing was
he's going 4.2 speed to the sideline.
Their timing on outs were crazy.
Yeah.
So I thought the reason he had to dive is he took a little bit too long in the route.
He did that little hezzy step, didn't he?
He did that hezzy step, which was beautiful. It's fun to see. But when you have a speed out, you got to get out because the quarterback's throwing to a spot.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to throw the ball towards the sideline because if it's the inside, it's an interception or knockdown, right? So he's throwing towards a spot on the sideline. And he took a little bit long to get there, but that'll get better with time. Like you mentioned, him and Tank had that down.
Yeah.
2-minute drill, whatever it was, 10-yard out, 15-yard out, it was money. So there's just more. They just need to get that charisma. They just need to get that timing down. But he took a little bit wrong on route with the hezzy, but his route was beautiful. It's just the timing of it. You got to work it. But that, to me, that's on the receiver, not the quarterback.
There was a clip of Brock Purdy in an interview, and I don't know who the podcaster was, so I apologize to him without knowing who he is. But Purdy was talking about how he said 60% of the time he's throwing blind, and that it's just the timing, or you might not see exactly what he needs to see, but he's just trusting that the receiver is going to be there. And he's a shorter quarterback, but the discussion around it was more that even if you're 6'5", there's times when you're throwing blind, and I think that route to Jaden Higgins and the way you explained it is kind of it tells you, and they're throwing to spots based on what they know is going to be open, and the timing of it. Sometimes me, like as a fan or just me as a defensive lineman, sometimes I hear about the timing and I know that I'm really underestimating or undervaluing how important it is. It feels too much like, oh no, it's like Madden. You just see the guy's open and you throw it. But it takes time to get that timing, right?
It does. It takes time, and it takes a ton of reps over and over and over again. You got to think Tank and CJ, I believe they came in together. So they got tons of reps together, and they mastered, I wouldn't say mastered, but they did a really good job at the out route. So it just takes a little bit of time, and they'll get better with time. But the important part is he caught the ball. That's the most important thing. He figured out a way to catch the ball. And it'll just get better. There's
another play too. It was one of the plays where he checked down to Nick Chubb, where CJ checked down to Nick Chubb. Higgins wasn't like it was, and I think the right tackle Fisher had cut block, so I think the ball was designed to come out quickly. And Higgins CJ's looking at him, and Higgins just wasn't turned around yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then and again, that's where CJ didn't wait. He's like, nope. And he sidestepped and he threw to Chubb. And that's another one where I'm guessing, without knowing exactly what the call was there, Bo, that's a rookie quarterback or a rookie receiver that's just got to get his eyes around faster.
It's all about timing. He's expecting you to be in this spot at this time by the time he's ready to throw. And if not, it's a mature thing, as you mentioned, to take the check down. Now, fast forwarding it, or maybe rewinding back. No, fast forward. the out route to Nico, that was timing as well.
Yeah.
That's that timing they had, right? He sat there, one step, knew where the ball was. It was literally going to the pylon. And he went right into it, boom, toe tap, and it was perfect.
Yeah, and that takes time. I feel good. I think Xavier Hutchinson, since we're talking about Jaden Higgins, I mean, Xavier Hutchinson's probably had the most surprising camp. And it just feels more like I was looking at him previously as, okay, is this a guy that's going to make the team? Versus now, I feel like they trust him and they're going to use him a lot. I mean, he's been working with the ones and forming a connection with CJ a lot during practice.
He's been getting better every year, like from his rookie year to last year. Last year, he made splash plays. He made some tough catches. I think he need to continue to work on separation. And then this year, in camp, he looks good. In the games, he looks good. In my opinion, all three Iowa State guys in that receiver room are gonna make the team.
What's the most inexcusable hat for a Texans player to wear? I'm with you on that.
Oh my
I would say it feels to me if you wore a 1993 era Bills cap, to me that feels like that would be the. If you showed up wearing Zubas and a Bills hat, like with a Frank Reich jersey or something, that's too far, man. That's too far.
That would be crazy. If you were any other NFL team, that would be insane.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring the Believe in Texans podcast. We'll catch up with you guys tomorrow on Wednesday.